In your daily life, you may have seen some amazing finds, maybe in museums, but the objects we usually see only tell a tiny fraction of our past. But did you know recently researchers have found some objects that don't just fill gaps? They completely break the timeline we were taught in school. And now we're going to look at amazing and strange discoveries that suggest humans were much more advanced, much earlier than anyone thought. It's a wild trip through 15 game-changing finds that prove our history books are missing some seriously huge chapters. So let's get started. Number 15, 2,500-meter depth mystery. Imagine looking at a map of the ocean floor and seeing something that looks exactly like a city, but it's buried under 2 kilometers of crushing salt water. That's exactly what happened in 2026, when a series of military scans picked up what appears to be complex architecture deep beneath the waves. Now, I have to be honest with you. This one is currently the center of a massive debate. If these structures are indeed man-made and not just a weird trick of geology like columnar jointing, we are looking at a civilization that lived on a version of Earth we don't even recognize. The sheer depth of 2,500 meters suggests this city would have been above water millions of years ago, or perhaps it's evidence of a pre-glacial society that was swallowed by the sea in a way our history books haven't even guessed at yet. It's a total reset button for everything we thought we knew about how long humans, or something like us, have been building on this planet. Number 14. Kiladi script. You know how we're always told that civilization in South Asia started in the north and trickled down? Well, Tamil Nadu has a different story to tell. Recent excavations at a site called Kiladi have turned up an incredibly advanced urban settlement that is effectively rewriting the history of India. The real mic drop moment was the discovery of pottery shards featuring a unique form of the Tamil Brahmi script. This puts a literate, organized society in the region as far back as 600 BCE. What's so wild about this is that it proves writing and high-level urban planning weren't just imported. They were thriving in the South much earlier than the official timeline ever allowed for. It's basically shifted the cradle of Indian culture and shown that these ancient people were far more independent and sophisticated than the textbooks gave them credit for. Number 13. Chakmak Tepe. Just when we all got comfortable with the idea that Göbekli Tepe was the 0 point of human civilization, Turkey decided to reveal an even older secret. Meet Chakmak Tepe, a site that sits just a stone's throw away but dates back nearly 1,000 years earlier, hitting the calendar around 10,000 BCE. While digging through the dust of the Taş Tepeler project, researchers realized they weren't just looking at another temple, they were looking at the dawn of settled society. This site proves that humans were coming together to live in permanent spots before they even figured out how to farm. It turns the whole farmers became builders theory on its head. It seems our ancestors were driven by a spiritual or social need to gather and build massive structures long before they ever worried about planting wheat. Number 12. 400,000-year-old fire. Could you imagine starting a campfire nearly 500,000 years ago? Most people think of ancient humans as primitive wanderers, but a discovery in Suffolk, England, at a place called Beech's Pit, changes that entirely. Archaeologists found evidence of controlled fire that dates back a staggering 400,000 years. We aren't just talking about a lucky strike from a lightning bolt. The way the burnt flint and reddened sediments are spread out shows these ancestors, likely Homo heidelbergensis, were absolute experts at managing hearths. This means that way before Homo sapiens, us, even showed up on the scene, our cousins were already using fire to cook, stay warm, and protect themselves. It's a huge slap in the face to the official timeline that says we were the only ones smart enough to master the flame so early on. Number 11. Amazon's lost cities. For the longest time, everyone assumed the Amazon was just a vast, untouched wilderness until Europeans showed up. Boy, were we wrong. Using a futuristic technology called LiDAR, which basically sees through trees with lasers, researchers in Ecuador pulled back the jungle canopy to reveal a massive interconnected urban complex in the Upano Valley. We're talking about 2,000-year-old cities with 25-meter-wide roads, drainage systems, and thousands of earthen mounds where people lived and worked. This wasn't just a few huts. It was a sprawling, engineered civilization that was thriving while the rest of the world was in the Iron Age. It destroys the myth of the primitive jungle and shows that the Amazon was once home to millions of people who had totally mastered their environment. Number 10. Mendic Tepe Pillars. Have you ever wondered what came before the world's first temple? While everyone is obsessed with Göbekli Tepe, a site called Mendic Tepe tucked away near the Syrian border is quietly stealing the spotlight by being even older. What's truly bizarre here is the complete lack of those famous T-shaped pillars we see elsewhere. Instead, we're finding a totally different, earlier architectural style consisting of domestic structures that suggest a transition from home to holy site that we never knew existed. This Turkish site predates the monumental era, proving that humans were master builders long before they started carving giant stone gods. It's a literal foundation stone for civilization, showing that our ancestors didn't just wake up one day and build temples. They had a long, undocumented history of evolving stoneworking techniques that we are only just beginning to dig up. Number 9. Stone Age writing symbols. It's time to stop thinking of Ice Age humans as just cave painters and start seeing them as code breakers. Genevieve von Petzinger's groundbreaking new analysis of cave walls across Europe has identified 32 recurring symbols, dots, triangles, and spirals, that stayed consistent for a staggering 30,000 years. These aren't just doodles. This was a complex system of communication found in caves dating back 40,000 years ago. When you realize the same handprint or line appears in the same context from Spain to Russia, you're looking at proto-writing that predates official Sumerian cuneiform by tens of thousands of years. This discovery suggests that the human brain was wired for graphic data and long-distance messaging during the Stone Age, proving our ancestors were literate in a secret geometric language long before the first city-state was ever born. Number 8. 14,000-year-old mummies of Vietnam. If I asked you who the first masters of mummification were, you'd probably say the Egyptians, right? Well, a site in Southeast Asia called Con Co Ngua is here to tell you that Vietnam was ahead of the game by about 10,000 years. Researchers have uncovered evidence of intentional mummification and highly complex burial rites dating back 14,000 years. This isn't just about preserving a body, it's about a society that had a deep, ritualistic understanding of death and the afterlife long before the pyramids were even a thought. It completely upends the official timeline of human spiritual evolution, proving that these primitive hunter-gatherers in Asia had mastered a craft we usually associate with the height of the Bronze Age. Every grave here tells a story of a culture that valued its dead with a level of sophistication that was supposed to be impossible for that era. Number 7. Scotland's timber halls. Imagine a playground in Scotland, kids running around totally unaware that 1,000 years before Stonehenge was even a blueprint, a massive lunar observatory sat right beneath their feet. At a site near Craith's Castle, archaeologists found a series of massive timber halls and pits aligned perfectly with the phases of the moon. These structures date back to 8000 BCE during the Mesolithic period. This is a total game changer because we used to think of ancient Britain as a land of disorganized nomads. Instead, These finds show a highly organized society of astronomers and architects who were tracking the heavens with pinpoint accuracy 10 millennia ago. It proves that primitive Britain was actually a hub of intellectual activity, building giant wooden monuments to the stars while the rest of the world was still figuring out permanent housing. Number 6. Gribschunden's secrets. Let's fast forward to 1495, to a moment that feels like the Grand Theft Auto of the high seas. The Gribschunden, a 500-year-old royal warship belonging to King Hans of Denmark, was found at the bottom of the Baltic Sea, acting as a perfect time capsule. This wasn't just a boat, it was a floating palace packed with advanced weaponry and luxury goods that shouldn't have been there. We're talking about a larder filled with saffron, ginger, and peppercorns from Indonesia, showing that medieval naval life was far more globalized and sophisticated than any history book dared to suggest. Between the terrifying monster figurehead and the high-tech, for the time, artillery, the Gribschunden proves that the transition from the Middle Ages to the Age of Discovery was already in full swing, with a level of international trade and military might that makes our official history of the 15th century look like a simplified fairy tale. Number 5. Karahan Tepe's amphitheater. Think about the sheer audacity of carving a massive theater out of solid bedrock before anyone had even invented the wheel. In the rugged terrain of Turkey, a site known as Karahan Tepe is effectively dismantling every historical timeline we were taught in school. We are looking at the pre-pottery Neolithic era, specifically around 11,000 years ago, right at the dawn of the Holocene. Unlike the simple huts we used to imagine for this period, researchers recently uncovered a sophisticated circular structure carved with surgical precision. It's not just the stone benches that are mind-blowing, it's the eerie human head carvings that stare back at you from the walls, alongside 11 phallic-shaped pillars that suggest this wasn't just for entertainment, but for a serious ceremony we don't fully understand yet. This discovery proves that complex architectural performance and communal gatherings were hardwired into us thousands of years earlier than any textbook ever dared to suggest. Number 4. Siberia-China Genetic Bridge. If you ever pictured ancient hunter-gatherers as isolated groups huddled in caves, this 7,700-year-old discovery is going to blow your mind. By analyzing DNA evidence from remains found in the Amur River region, scientists have mapped out a massive corridor of trade and travel that acted as a literal genetic and cultural bridge between Siberia and China. This wasn't a one-off wandering tribe. It was a consistent, organized flow of people and ideas across some of the most brutal steppes on the planet. It completely shatters the idea that long-distance travel was impossible back then. Instead, it reveals a vast, globalized network where technology and genes were being swapped across thousands of miles. This proves the world was connected long before the first Silk Road was even a dream, showing that our ancestors were much more mobile and socially complex than we previously imagined for such an early era in history. Number 3. Deep Sea Cow of Qatar. Sometimes the Earth hides a tropical secret under layers of desert sand. Down in the Dam Formation located in Qatar, archaeologists recently pulled a 21-million-year-old dugong fossil out of the Earth, and it's changing how we see the map of the world. This prehistoric sea cow is the ultimate smoking gun for a thriving marine ecosystem that existed in the Arabian Gulf during the Miocene. Why does a biological find matter for human history? Because it proves this region was once a lush, shallow sea paradise, providing the exact environmental conditions needed for the land bridges that eventually allowed species, including our own ancestors, to migrate out of Africa. It's a vivid reminder that the desert history we're taught is just a tiny, recent slice of a much wetter, greener story. This fossil acts as a window into an environment that dictated the very paths humans would eventually take to populate the entire planet. Number 2. Viking power in the Roman era. We've been told for decades that the Viking Age kicked off with a surprise raid in 793 AD, but the mud of Denmark has been hiding a much older secret. Through a recent analysis of the Nidam boat, a stunning vessel found in a sacrificial bog, we now know that Viking naval dominance was already peaking in the 3rd century. While the Roman Empire was busy defending its borders, Scandinavian maritime tech was already churning out 300 AD ships that were the direct, sophisticated ancestors of the longship. These weren't primitive rafts. They were high-speed, seafaring machines capable of large-scale raids. This discovery shifts the entire Norse identity, proving they were masters of the sea for 500 years before the history books even started paying attention. It turns out the North Sea was a Norse playground long before the rest of Europe even knew what was coming, rewriting their entire military history. Number 1. Abydos Dynasty Tomb. What if an entire line of kings ruled a superpower and then simply vanished from the records for 3 millennia? That's the reality uncovered in Egypt when the tomb of Pharaoh Senebkai was finally identified. This find was the missing link for the Abydos dynasty, a forgotten royal line that held power during the Second Intermediate Period, roughly 1650 to 1600 BCE. Up until the confirmation of this modest but royal burial site, these kings were treated like a myth or a historian's best guess. Finding Senebkai's actual skeletal remains, which show he was a warrior king killed in battle, proves that ancient Egypt was far more fractured and complex than the clean, linear king lists suggest. It's a haunting discovery that proves even the most famous civilizations on Earth still have missing chapters buried deep in the silt, waiting for a single burial chamber to fundamentally alter the pharaonic timeline we once thought was settled. Our journey through these 15 anomalies proves that the settled history we learned is truly just a draft. If these missing eras fascinated you, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to join our community of truth seekers. Thanks for watching. Now, keep questioning everything you see.